All right, guys, I am here with Neil Spencer, who's a pastor, Bible teacher, and CCU graduate and current MDiv student. Neil, how's it going?
Good, man. So good to see you. Thank you for the opportunity to join you this morning.
So, Neil, tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us your ministry experience and kind of how God's been using you up in the northern panhandle part of Florida.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Born and raised in this area of Florida. I'm in this little area known as Gulf Breeze, which is just a little bedroom community of Pensacola. But after high school, found myself in Bible college in Marietta from the years of 2001 to 2003. And really through that experience, had a phenomenal opportunity to get exposed to what I felt was just a solid biblical foundation, but also like a really good introduction to people who were living out the faith. And for me, that combination, I just couldn't get enough of it. And God opened up an opportunity for an internship in kind of more that central California area near Santa Barbara. And so I worked in kids and student ministry at Calvary Chapel, Santa Barbara, and just had some great mentors in that season of my life. Pastor Ricky Ryan was pastoring the church at that time, and David Guzik was in the area. It was right before he planted the Bible college in Zegan. He was pastoring in Simi, and Britt Merrick was doing our college ministry at the church. So just some great guys to be connected to and learn so much from all those guys, either, by catching and sometimes through like strategic instruction. And then from there, found myself in Oregon for 3 months. Pastor John Corson gave me an invitation to kind of spend a few months in Applegate through a discipleship program that he had. And so learned so much from John and Tammy and Peter John and Ben, and just such a great family there in the Pacific Northwest. But then after that, really moved home and Gulf Breeze from about, I'd say 2006 to about 2010. Got married in that time to my beautiful bride, Cece. Worked in so many different ways at a local church that my father planted in 1983. And then in 2010, began to kind of help a small church plant about an hour and 15 minutes east of my hometown in a little tourist town called Destin, Florida. And through that experience, had the opportunity to kind of help plant a church and pastored that church from 2010 to just about the spring of 2019. So about 9 years. And then through that experience, had the opportunity to help plant a church in a little town about, I'd say 15 minutes from us in Fort Walton Beach. And then another church plant about 20 minutes in the other direction in a little town called Santa Rosa Beach. And then another church plant in a town a little bit further, about 30 minutes away, called Navarre, Florida. And so long story short, great time in the city of Destin. During that time, our family grew to 5 children, and being a part of those local church plants, just seeing so much fruit from there. Just had the opportunity to speak at one of those church plants 2 weeks ago in Fort Walton, and just doing so well. And then I find myself in this season presently where about 2.5 years ago, my father kind of gave me an official invitation alongside with the board of directors at the church to consider moving back to Gulf Breeze to walk through a pastoral leadership transition. And so since that time, which was late 2017, early 2018, walked through a transition out of the church I planted, and then am currently walking through a transition into the leadership role for the church that I grew up in. And so, that's what I'm doing now. And then CCU came on the horizon while I was in Destin, and had an opportunity through some relationships with a guy named Devin Berryhill and another guy named Chapin Marsh, who, as God would have it, used to attend the church that I'm about ready to pastor back in the 90s when he was getting a degree at Pensacola Christian College. So anyway, Chapin and Devin and Wendy, these are some people that are part of CCU that I've kind of known without knowing that I've known through many different relationships within Calvary for years, and just love CCU, and it's been a great experience for me. And
So
so,
tell me a little bit, you're doing leadership transition stuff, you're doing all these things. You completed your master's in biblical leadership with CCU.
yeah.
What were some of the principles and things that you learned during that degree program that you saw immediately apply to what you were dealing with?
Okay, yeah, good question. So you kind of heard a little bit of my background and like growing up in a church that's Calvary, and then the guys that have invested in my life, like, man, better Bible teachers than I'll ever be, you know? So learning the Bible has been this great treat for me, you know, like under some phenomenal pastors and leaders. What I've found in church world is it's kind of got some similarities to every other world. Like there's still this dynamic to train a staff or kind of have some boundaries for office hours, or you know, do you need to have a dress code, or basic dynamics to kind of organizational leadership. I found like they're a thing still within church. You know, you can't just show up and open the Bible and then that's what church is, although that's what is our primary. So the great thing about CCU MA on leadership was some of those courses on building a team, or oh man, like how to develop vision. Oh man, that was one of the best classes that I had an opportunity to finally understand. And I'll just be honest with you, show you my own ignorance. Like, oh, this is what a vision statement is. This is what a mission statement. These are what values are. I never really considered those. You know, maybe in my background and in my experience and my education. Now in hindsight, I see that I always had those. I just didn't maybe clarify them. So one of the greatest benefits of CCU is it brought so many things together that I had experienced with hands-on ministry and helped kind of clarify like pathways. Okay, here's how we lead with clear vision. Here's how we define our mission. Here's how we really identify what we value. And that's why we teach the Bible. That's why we do these outreaches. And so CCU helped me so much understand the why behind the what of what I do in ministry, specifically that degree. Just so illuminative in many ways, like building out job descriptions. And one of the courses helped me with interviewing staff members, like how to put together a good staff interview. Like I never had been exposed to that. And so CCU for me, it was a godsend in those senses. And honestly, I still kind of use some of my, you know, I don't think I use PowerPoint anymore or Keynote, but pro presenter presentations from like how to do those interviews. I still use some of those elements
Mm.
for that. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about CCU in my experience too, was just that practical stuff that maybe, you know, Bible college is awesome, but you're probably not going to learn that in Bible college. You're
Yeah,
learning the
I
Bible.
didn't. Yeah, I must have. I'm not that smart, so I must have missed it. But like, the CCU stuff was really helpful.
Cool, awesome. So let me just kind of finish with this. What would you say? Because I think there's many pastors who are trying to decide, can I do this? Like, do I have time in the midst of ministry to take that time to do this college online? So what would you say to a pastor who's trying to decide whether or not the benefits of taking classes with CCU are worth it, or whether he's going to be able to fit it into his schedule?
Great question. CCU is set up in such a way where it works in 8-week semesters. So that ability to kind of navigate your schedule in those time blocks has been very helpful to me. Honestly, I've gone through seasons where I've got availability to really dig into classes, and I go for it. And then there's some seasons where I go, you know what? There's travel, or we're having another baby, or whatever's going on, and I can't enroll in these 8 weeks. And so the staff of CCU for me have always been so gracious, so helpful in helping me navigate how I finish coursework and degrees, but also the time that it requires. I find that it leads into my passion. So like I'm in ministry, so this stuff isn't arduous for the most part. It's helpful. It's not, you know, I'm not learning trigonometry. No offense to anyone that's all about that, but like for me, like I'm learning about things that I really need. You know, I'm learning about things that really help me. So it's motivating to be in that kind of context, and it feeds what I do. It doesn't distract, but I do understand that sometimes ministry dynamics can get intense. And so the staff at CCU, the great thing about that team is they're ministry minded. They're just not academically inclined. They're both, but there's this beautiful blend. And so it's been a phenomenal opportunity, and they make it very easy for you to jump in and gain as much as you can through the platform of CCU. So
Awesome, Neil. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Best of luck
yeah,
in
yeah,
all your transition that's happening and all that stuff.
great. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.